My eyes snapped open. Darkness. Quiet. Did I dream that? I reached for Michael. The sheets were cold. "April," he whispered again, somewhere off to my right. "Someone's in the house. You need to leave." Wait! He was whispering through the baby monitor from the baby's room. Oh God! Someone was in the house, and I was alone. My panic spiked. I threw off the covers, ready to spring out of bed, when the bedroom door squealed open behind me. I pulled the covers back up, pressed my head into the pillow. Heavy footsteps neared the bed. Then the covers lifted, and cool air brushed the bare skin on my legs. The mattress dipped under someone's weight. Then the intruder crawled under the blanket. A warm body pressed against my back, and hot breath tickled my neck. I trembled. An arm slid around my chest and locked me in, holding me from behind. On the bedside table, the baby's crying crackled through the monitor. Fingers slid through my hair, and the intruder's lips brushed my neck. A deep voice whispered, "Wake up, April. It's your turn." I screamed and threw myself off the bed, slamming against the wall. The bedsheets crinkled as the intruder crawled across the bed toward me. The bedside lamp clicked on. My husband's face stared down from the edge of the bed. "April? Oh my God! Are you hurt?" Unbelievable! He'd scared the hell out of me. "Am I hurt?" "Yes, I'm hurt. How could you do that to me?" "I was just saying, it's your turn to check on the baby. What are you talking about?" The baby monitor crackled. "April," the voice said, "I'm taking Holly out of the house. Get out safely." We both stared at each other, horrified. Michael swung his legs off the bed, but I hit the floor first. I reached under the bed for the gun box. His feet scuffled around to my side of the bed. My hand struck solid wood. I scooped the box out, snatched the pistol, and clicked the safety off. "Give me the gun," Michael said, reaching down. I slapped his hand away and stood. "No time, I got it, just go, go." With a couple pushes, I got him running out of the bedroom. Michael slammed the nursery door open. Behind the baby's crib was an open window. The dark silhouette of a man stepped out of it with our baby in his arms. "I have a gun," I shouted. The man froze, one leg in, one leg out. My husband caught the man by his shirt and yanked him back inside. I flipped on the light, and my heart dropped. This man was also my husband. Two identical men stood side by side, each staring at the other in equal confusion. Their mannerisms were identical. "April," the one holding the baby said, "put the gun down." "No, you put my baby down." He blinked, then nodded. Gently, he eased the baby back into the bassinet. She scrunched up her face and let out a little scream. "Now walk over there, both of you." I nudged my gun at the wall. They walked over, watching me with fear in their eyes. "April," the one who just laid down the baby said, "look at me. We've spent our whole lives together. We made her," he said, eyeing my baby girl. "Come on, you know I'm your husband." "No," the other one said, taking a step closer. I aimed the gun at him, but he advanced and pushed his chest against my gun.
"If someone was in the house, I would never, ever leave without you."
I would protect you, no matter what. It's me. Now give me the gun. I shook my head, blinking away tears. April, if you really think I'm lying, go ahead, shoot! Because if you really can't tell the difference, if you really think I'd leave you, I failed as your husband. So go on. I felt the rise and fall of his chest shift the gun with each breath. I couldn't do it. My heart told me it was him. He slid the gun from my fingers. Thank you, he said, then turned, aimed, and shot the other one dead. We dug a hole in the backyard. Once it was deep enough, we dragged the clone's body in and covered it with dirt. The next day, I was in shock. I spent the entire afternoon inside the nursery with the baby in my arms. I didn't want to let her go, not even for a minute. Around dinner time, Michael peeked his head in and said I needed to eat. I said I wasn't hungry. He nodded, turning to leave, but hesitated. Then he approached us. He was looking down at the baby. He brushed his fingers through her hair, then let out a chuckle. What's so funny? I asked. It's just, our baby is the luckiest baby in the world. Yeah? Why's that? He lifted his eyes to meet mine. Because Haley has the best mom in the world. He traced a finger along my cheek, then walked out and clicked the door shut. My breath caught in my throat. My chest tightened. I set the baby back on her mattress so I wouldn't drop her. A mixture of dread and panic flooded my mind all at once. Because our baby's name isn't Haley. It's Holly. Bringing your child to work shouldn't be mandatory.
Have you ever noticed that bring your child to work day sort of comes across as a command? Well, in the town of Clearview, we take that command seriously. The April they turn 13, every kid in Clearview is required to go to work with their parents. And where do most of the parents in Clearview work? Rhinecorp. I vividly remember that Tuesday in April when I went to work with my dad. I was excited to be getting out of school, even though in Clearview, schools are closed on Bring Your Child to Work Day. As excited as I was, even as a 13-year-old, I sensed some hesitancy, a little discomfort in my dad as we pulled into the Rhinecorp parking lot. "Are you okay, Dad?" I asked. "Huh?" he said, snapping out of his thoughts. "Sure, I'm fine." But when we parked, Dad turned the car off and looked at me with that serious look that made me pay careful attention. "Everything is going to be okay," said Dad. "Just be sure to follow all instructions, and whatever you do, keep your voice down." Panic shot down my spine. "All right," I replied, hoping the inflection of my voice would yield more information from my dad. "Don't yell, don't scream. Do you understand, Elliot?" "Sure, Dad." Perhaps I thought it was just rude to be loud in an office space. That was all, right? We exited the car, and I followed my dad into the Rhinecorp building. It was a sprawling space. We were greeted by a large vestibule with a cascading fountain in the center, pouring down water into a pool filled with orange fish and hundreds of coins lying on the bottom. Dad gave a friendly wave to the secretary, who sat behind a large marble desk and continued beyond a set of large double doors. Here, everything looked different. It looked tan. This was back when tan was the style for office buildings. All the cubicle dividers were tan, the furniture, the desktop computers, printers, monitors, all tan. Any of my worries were set at ease when I saw this space. It was as innocuous as could be. Dad set his bag down on the floor next to his desk, pulled up a chair for me to sit in, and sat down in front of his computer. As the computer booted up, he tried to explain to me what he did,
but I didn't understand much of it. I did, however, notice all the other parents and their kids walking past Dad's cubicle, somber, as if they had been sentenced to death. Again, the gnawing sense of unease crept in.
After about an hour, I was more bored than anything else. But the announcement on the intercom overhead changed everything. The Rheinkorp Children's presentation will begin in 10 minutes. Please escort all children to the presentation room. There are no exceptions. With a sigh, Dad stood up and put his hand on my shoulder. Just remember, quiet. My heart was racing as I stood and followed my dad, who filed into a crowd of other parents and their kids, down the hall and into a large auditorium. The parents all left, and the lights dimmed as a screen descended from the ceiling. A grainy black and white video featuring a man in a suit began to play. Welcome to Rheinkorp. Over the next hour, we will show you everything that happens within these walls to innovate, protect, and provide for the citizens of Clearview and beyond. The video continued, going over products, supply chains, and all sorts of things that children are not interested in. But after a few minutes, something shifted up front. The screen retracted, the stage folded into the floor, and all that was left was what looked like a roller coaster sitting on a set of tracks below. A voice sounded overhead. Please file onto the tram, 1 per seat. Obediently, we rose to our feet and relocated to the carts. Each one progressed along the rail once someone sat down. I followed the queue until I too was seated in one of the carts. A voice sounded from a small speaker in front of me. Friendly reminder, for your own safety, keep quiet for the duration of the interactive component of the presentation. The cart wound through an industrial-looking hallway lined with red blinking lights and thick metal pipes. The speaker sounded again. You've seen what Rheinkorp does. Now you will see how we do it. Because nothing at Rheinkorp would be possible without Rhine. The cart turned a corner and into a vast open room, larger than a football field. In the center of the space, larger than a house, sat a giant pinkish, undulating blob. Dozens of thick, sinewy tendrils spanned from the blob to all corners of the room, even down to the floor. Upon the surface of the blob were dozens of pulsating pustules, hundreds of blinking eyes, and even what looked like a mouth, lined by concentric rows of triangular teeth.
Just looking at the thing made me want to scream, but I checked myself, remembering what Dad warned me. Still, I looked around for any route of escape. I was at least 30 feet above the ground. No way to get off the cart. As if reading my mind, the cart clicked, and a pair of shackles sprung out and fastened my legs to the floor. My heart was racing as I drew nearer to the thing in the center of the room. Rhine powers the entire industry here at Rheinkorp. Rhine is also responsible for our unprecedented innovation, giving our engineers insights otherwise impossible for a human being. As the speaker droned on about the monstrosity before me, a claw passed through an opening above me carrying a full cow carcass. It hovered over the mouth of the blob, which opened expectantly. I turned away when the cow fell, but when I looked back, the cow was gone. The cart was drawing close to Rhine now, so close that I could make out the network of veins beneath its thin, translucent skin. Then the cart stopped and turned toward the wall of flesh. About 20 eyes opened in front of me, each fixing me in a hollow stare. I couldn't look away, despite trying with all my might. But after a moment, the eyes closed, and the speaker sounded, "Congratulations! Rhine sees you." The cart pressed on for another few seconds, stopping again at another part of the blob. In a flash, a tendril shot from the blob and attached to the top of my head.
blinding pain shot through my scalp as my vision went white. I don't know how long that lasted, but when the tendril retracted back into the blob, the speaker sounded once more. "Congratulations! Ryan knows your thoughts." I collected myself through heaving breaths, trying my best to stay quiet as the cart moved on. The track ascended until I was sitting over the mouth into which the cow had been dropped earlier. The shackles on my legs fell off with a click, and the cart was beginning to tip over. Slowly, I was leaning closer and closer to that open maw, pulsating in anticipation. The wet slapping of the mouth as it waited for me was the only sound, aside from my stifled sobs. Though for all my struggling, clawing, and gripping onto the cart with all my might, I didn't scream. I didn't scream. Soon I could hold on no longer, and I fell.
My body was subsumed in warm, wet flesh. It felt like I was being tossed about in an ocean of warm stew, with the occasional hard object brushing against my back or side. I struggled to escape, to find a breath of air, but warm, wet darkness was all there was. Finally, just as I was resigning myself to be digested by that thing, I felt the cold air on my skin. I saw the light. I was lifted by one of the tendrils and returned to my cart. Congratulations, gracious Rhine has spared your life. Trembling, I covered my face with my hands and prayed for the end of this ride, but not before I heard something worse than anything I had yet experienced. I heard a scream ring out behind me. I whipped my head around to see another empty cart tipped over the now closed mouth. I waited and waited until the cart was out of sight, but never saw anyone emerge. The cart led me back through a hallway similar to the one I had come in from, and one last message came through the speaker. Did you know? Rhine's tendrils reach throughout Clearview. If you're in Clearview, Rhine can reach you. The cart stopped back in the auditorium, and I got out, hardly able to stand on my shaking legs. I was led back to my dad's cubicle, where he met me with a relieved sigh, but never said anything else about it. I sat next to his desk for the rest of the day, watching him move numbers around a spreadsheet, and that was fine with me.